Once I'm done explaining the rules, I'll have 30 seconds to think of a 5 minutes or so speech on the topic of gaming. And so the reason I started this challenge is, one, because it's really fun, but two, I know that a lot of people talk about, like, how do you talk to your chat? How do you talk to your channel? How do you just sit there and talk to yourself? And so I wanted to start a series and do, like, learning how to take something small and just extrapolate on it and talk to build up those Twitch muscles for being able to give speeches. So my 30 seconds will begin here in about 10 seconds, and then I will give up to a 5-minute speech on the topic of gaming. Let's give it about 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, here we go. 30 seconds of thinking. Hello everyone, today I'm going to be doing a speech on the topic of gaming. More specifically, we're going to be talking about why gaming needs to be more heavily regulated. Now I know immediately that's going to be an unpopular opinion. People are going to say, no, we need more games. Games are good for people. Games help people. Gaming is a good thing as a whole, which I mostly agree with. However, even with good things, we need to see regulations on it. In this speech, I hope to cover how gaming affects an individual, a community, and the whole world, and why we need to see regulations across the board on all three of those. So let's start with the individual, right? Because that's what we care most about. Me. Let's talk about me. So how does gaming affect the individual, and why does it need to have more regulation? We can see places like China have implemented new bans and new regulations around how long children can game for. In addition, we can see that there are bans on certain times, certain games, and certain topics that aren't allowed. For example, China has regulations around being able to see dead bodies or things that may be disturbing to content. But there's even more in the individual that needs to be heavily regulated. And for this speech, I'm going to first start by talking about Roblox. Now, Roblox is a huge game. It's kind of like Minecraft in that you can make multiple games in it. You can do whatever game you want to do. Roblox can and will be anything. And that's cool, right? We want to use our individual imaginations. As individuals, we want to express ourselves in this worldwide audience. However, FBI statistics have shown that almost 4,000 kids have directly been sex trafficked because of Roblox. What this tells me is that the individuals who are being affected by it are not being properly regulated. So again, when I say regulations, I don't mean we need to ban all gaming, we need to crack down on it, we need to get rid of it forever. What I'm saying is that there needs to be tighter regulations around certain games, especially those that are affecting children, because we have children who are going onto these apps who don't have the safety, the wherewithal, and the knowledge to handle a game like Roblox. So, the regulations would have to be things such as maybe certain times, safety hours. There's adult swim for pools where only adults can swim. Perhaps there's a child-friendly hour where only children are allowed to play so they can be among their peers without being mixed with other people that can cause these nefarious events to happen. Again, it's not regulation as in, oh, everything has to be banned, but rather we need to tighten down to protect people. Now, let's go a little bit bigger. That's the individual person, but let's talk about the individual community, because we don't just live as individuals, right? We live in a community, and we live as a part of our community. So how does gaming affect communities? Well, it affects in many good ways, right? We look back to the days of the 90s and early 2000s when we had LAN parties. We brought together all these individual people and played games and had fun. I bet some of your best memories are not of just gaming by yourself, but rather gaming with the community. Things like Smash Brothers tournaments, things like LAN parties, things like Unreal Tournament, or even more modern, World of Warcraft. 100 million accounts on World of Warcraft. Tell me that isn't a community in itself. In fact, the community was so seen that when they had a pandemic break out in the game in the early 2000s, I I want to say 2008 when Wrath of the Lich King came out, it was studied by the CDC to see how do people affect these games when there's a pandemic going on. But we also see cyberbullying, harassment, suicide rates going up as these unregulated systems give these communities access to bully people, to kick people out, and they are unregulated. So again, the regulation is not a ban, but rather tightening down on these communities don't need this much control to impact another person, right? By putting in small restrictions, we can prevent these communities from coming together and bullying people. Now let's move on to the last topic. Let's talk about the world. We talked about these little communities, but these little communities come together, right? These little communities build each other up and become a worldwide community. On those worldwide communities, how does gaming affect the worldwide communities? We can see people being brought together. I used the example of World of Warcraft earlier, but let's go even old schooler from that, right? Let's talk about EverQuest. Let's talk about people from Germany, people from Australia, people from America, people from Japan, all coming together for a common goal. That's a life skill. That's a skill you need to succeed in work and in life, right? When you're at your company, you need to go to people from all different diversities, all different backgrounds, all different places, and work together to be able to achieve a common goal. That's a life skill. But there also needs to be a restriction, because on this worldwide platform, we see it's impacting children especially. Again, this is all about the children. We need to think about the children, right? So we see these kids have a worldwide platform. At the age of 7, 8, or 9, they can log on to World of Warcraft and interact with all these different communities and cultures, but they also interact with people who don't like those communities and cultures. They interact with people who don't believe that those are people. They interact with people who have these worldwide ideas that they think are grandiose and impact the entire world, when really it's just one person screaming into the nether. But children don't have the ability to understand the difference between one person with one theory speaking out hate and vitriol and seeing the world for what it is. So again, regulations such as things like chat bans or not allowing certain topics to come up, or even again, certain hours where children can be amongst their peers rather than being amongst all these people that, well, for better or for worse, may influence them in not such a good way, is a small step to making not only gaming better, but better across the individual, across the community, and across the entire world. Thank you. There you go, guys. 5-minute speech on gaming with only 30 seconds of prep. So hopefully that'll make a good clip for people. Zelda, I saw you joined in. Sorry, I was in the middle of a speech that I couldn't very well stop to say hello. But hello, Zelda. Hopefully you're still here.